Number 4, Paul Goldsmith.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises and asked, what progress has the government made on the mixed ownership model program?
Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr. Speaker, today's float of Genesis Energy has brought the government's share offer program to a successful close. The program has been a real success, raising $4.7 billion while retaining government's majority control of these companies. The government's public debt, $4.7 billion, has been realised, and in a world moving to a phase of rising interest rates, controlling debt is increasingly important. Controlling debt while providing hundreds of millions for scarce capital for investments into important assets such as Burwood and Christchurch hospitals has been an important part of the government's successful wider economic program, which sees it at the top end of the developed world for actual and forecast GDP and job growth.
Supplementary question, Paul Goldsmith.
To the Minister, how many of the 5 objects set for the wider share offer program have been met?
Tony Ryle.
Well, Mr. Speaker, all of them. The government has maintained at least 51% ownership of all the companies. New Zealanders were at the front of the queue. 250,000 people took up shares with 110,000 new common shareholder numbers issued. The companies will provide good opportunities for investors. The freed up capital is being used to buy new public assets, and the government is satisfied industry-specific regulations will continue to protect New Zealand consumers. The government campaigned up front on this program, and the opposition did everything they could to sabotage it. But the government has delivered, and New Zealand and our public finances are better off because of this program.
Order. Supplementary question, Paul Goldsmith.
To the Minister, what other benefits are evident from the government's successful completion of the share float program?
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Tony Ryle.
Well, Mr. Speaker, apart from providing hundreds of millions of dollars of scarce capital for hospitals and schools, Kiwi Rail and other vital public assets, the government share offer program has also been instrumental in deepening New Zealand's equity markets. Activity on the New Zealand Stock Exchange in 2013 was at its highest level in over a decade, and 63% of the capital raised was due to the government share offer program. It's also spurred many New Zealanders to invest in the share market for the first time. Around 250,000 shareholders purchased shares, and around 110,000 were issued new common shareholder numbers. And this means tens of thousands of New Zealanders have invested in the stock market for the first time and are now earning dividends from shares.
Supplementary question, the Honourable David Parker.
How much has he raised from the asset sales process, and is this less than the $5 to $7 billion he predicted? And if so, how can he claim that is a success?
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr. Speaker, the government has raised $4.7 billion of cash. And when the government was aiming for $5 to $7 billion of shares, that included Solid Energy, which has been severely affected by the collapse in world coal prices. So actually, I think to get to $4.7 billion with only 4 of the 5 companies is a great success, and it means we have money in the bank, and unlike the opposition, we don't have to go and borrow from foreign bankers.
Supplementary.
Order. I'm just waiting for the Honourable Annie King. Honourable David Parker, supplementary question.
Will he apologise to New Zealand taxpayers for the $120 million he gave away from the many to the few by underpricing the Genesis shares that have listed today, on top of the hundreds of millions of dollars he's already lost on asset sales, and for running Solid Energy into the ground?
Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr. Speaker, the government ran a transparent and commercial process when it came to set the price for Genesis Energy. I have to say that the opposition actually criticises whatever the price is. Over the last 3 floats we sold them too cheap, we've sold them too dear, we haven't sold them to the right people, we sold them to too many Kiwi mums and dads. The opposition seems to have all sorts of positions on this, reflecting the fact that they made this the centrepiece of the 2011 election campaign. They failed, and New Zealanders have won with $4.7 billion of cash.
Question number 5, Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Finance, does he